about you, but sometimes I look at stuff and think, you know, that is just way too expensive. I could do something myself. Hey guys, May Flom here, and today's little DIY. This is my travel journal here. Okay, and that's not so much what we're going to talk about today. What we're going to talk about today is, I've got the way that this particular one is set up. It's got this that goes around the middle, and it's got this little tag, which is nice enough, but I was thinking it would be awfully cute if there was an extra little dangly something. So to make a project like mine, I've got an assortment of beads. I went through my beads and just found an assortment of things that I thought could potentially work and just pulled them all right out on, because for me at least, sometimes I just need to get things going before I really know how I like it or not. So you'll need that. I'm also using one of the new Paige Evans charms from her Oh My Heart line. And I picked this one because I think it's the perfect colors for what I want to do here. So I have that. I also have a length of jewelry wire. It's a soft, flexible wire. And I have two little crimping beads. Now, the way the crimping beads work, you put the bead on, and I'm going to show this to you empty, okay? You would not do it this way with the string empty, just so you can see it a little better. You put the string on, and then you loop it through, back through, and how much of a loop you leave will depend on, you know, if it's this that's hanging through, if you have beads that are going around this, what size clamp you're using, whatever it is that you have on the end, okay? That's going to change how you decide how much of a loop you want to leave. And you're not going to stress about how much length is extra over here. You're just going to put it on like so, and once you're satisfied, you're going to use your jewelry pliers to crimp it. If you want more about crimping beads and details about that, I would suggest doing a search for beading or jewelry crimping bead on YouTube, and you should find like a million different videos. But I wanted to show you that because you do that at each end, and it makes it really secure, which I like. So what you do want to do, if you're really doing this, I just showed you that so that you could see it empty. It's easier to see. You put the bead on, you put whatever it is you're wanting to put on the very end on. So whatever it is that's going to be on that loop. And then you run it back through the hole. And what I'm loving about this is it works. I've been using this on necklaces, of course, but it also works on a project like what I'm doing right here to make a charm for my planner. And once I've got this on and the wire's not crooked and everybody's happy, then I can, whoops, not the cutters, I can go ahead and take my jewelry pliers and crimp it. And by crimping it, that's just locking everybody into place. So it has to behave itself now. Now my little bead there, it has to behave. And that's the setup, okay? Could you do a different type? I'm sure you could, but I'm just showing you what I'm doing here. Then what I'm going to do is take a variety of beads. I'm going to start with kind of an aqua colored one. I'm going to put a couple of little ones, and I'm thinking about a couple of bigger ones as well. I don't like to bead in a specific order, and what I mean by that is I don't like there to be like a recognizable pattern. I like it to look pretty random, okay? I like it to look a little bit wild. And I want to use one of these. I'm going to go ahead and cut this open. Okay. I believe that all of the beads I'm using are big enough to go through. You see how that excess wire is just getting covered up because it's getting strung through the beads. So because it's getting strung through the beads, we don't have to trim it off. We don't have to worry about it. It's just right there doing its thing. I love it. Okay, I'm going to put a little one. I want to put one of these really pretty, like minty kind of colored ones here. Okay, so I'm going to put one of those. And I'm just taking a look that everything looks good. Now what I need to do, I've got a couple of beads on there. First of all, let's take a quick little moment. Oops, let me get that turned the right way. Look how cute that is. I mean, it's just so cute and so easy. And I've seen stuff like this in stores that's like 10 bucks or $8, something like this. I'm going to guess that actual supplies were well under $1. I'll tell you that for the actual supplies that I'm using here. So now what I'm going to do, because I know I want to hook it onto this, and because I've got my crimp beads and all that, I'm able to do that. That's going to work. So what I need to decide now though is how big do I want this to be? Where do I want this to hang to? What length do I want this? Okay. And that's important because I need to know, I need to kind of keep an eye on how long am I making this. So I will just keep adding beads to this. So once you get to a point where you're ready to make your second and final loop, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to put the crimp bead on, because remember, wherever the crimp bead is the spot of the loop. In this particular case, normally, you know, there would be, on most jewelry, there would be a very small loop in the other end of the clasp. Well, this isn't a normal piece of jewelry. This is for my planner. So what I am going to do is I'm running this through here, okay, and seeing exactly where I want it. Alrighty. And then what I'll do is add on additional beads. So any beads that I add now are going to be a part of the loop, which I think is pretty cool. And I'm not going to worry too much these next couple. I'm definitely not going to worry about exactly, you know, if the colors line up or anything like that. As long as they're from this little pile here that I assorted that are colors that I wanted to use, we're okay. So I'm going to get a couple on, and I'm going to get, let's see, we'll do one of these pink ones. I'm going to do one of these bigger ones. Okay, because now watch, when I go to do this, it's a big enough bead that it can't go through. Okay, now if I noticed here that I went, ooh, you know what, and I did, it's too long, it's just longer than I want it to be, I just pop those right off. I can always adjust. That's a great thing about a project like this. You can always adjust and customize it to be exactly, and I do mean exactly, what you want. And I'm not going to have it be so tight here. You know, I'm not going to have it be as tight as possible. I'm actually going to let it have a little bit of play. So what I'm going to do next is put some smaller beads on. And this is also why I always cut a couple inches longer than I think I actually need. Because that way, if it turns out, oh geez, I wish this was longer, I wish this was a little different, something to that effect. Well, guess what, guys? We're not in trouble. We're totally fine because we have got that extra wiggle room. All right, now once you get all the beads that you do want on here, you have to be able to locate that little guy. I'm just making sure if I have enough. Yep, I have enough beads that I'm happy with. Maybe just one more. Let's see. We'll do one of these frosted ones. I'll do two more. A frosted one and kind of a greenish one. Love these colors. Love these colors. And I love these charms because these charms from this new line from Pink Paisley and Paige Evans, what I love about it is there's so many applications, and I love playing with different techniques and ideas here. All right, so once we think we're ready, and you can see how that extra wire being there is really our friend, because I can just kind of back off of it and very easily get it through. So once that is through, we're going to gently pull. Okay, and I say gently because I don't want to, you know, I don't want to actually have anything go flying. We're going to gently pull until this is at a spot here that is, let's see. Well, what's happening on the back side here where the big one is, it won't go any farther, and there's a gap here, which tells me that I really did miscalculate and I need to pull some things off and put a couple more beads on. As you can see there, I have pulled it as tight as it will go. There's just a little bit of play there. Now, I could leave that. That's not the end of the world. To be honest, actually, you know what? Now that I'm saying that and thinking about it, if I could get one more, no, that bead is too big. I may actually want to leave it that way because then it can move a little more freely. I'm not sure how great it's going to go with another bead, but I can't help myself. I want to know how the bead will go. So this is great because look, it's no harm done. I can just pull this off, although I'm going to have to pull these beads off, which I'm just going to set those beads aside so that I remember who was where. And I'm just going to put two more little beads on this side because I just really noticed that it just was too, you know, there's just too much of a gap. And maybe if it didn't bother you, then I would say by all means, just let it roll. If it does bother you though, as it did kind of bother me, you can just adjust it. And I love that I can do this. Now, could you do this in a way where you did have, in fact, a clasp so that it was removable? Yes, you could absolutely do this with a clasp. You don't have to do this exactly how I am doing it. I just don't want a clasp because, quite honestly, I feel like it'll go better if I don't have a clasp. I feel like it will actually turn out, I don't know about more attractive, but I feel like it'll turn out and work out better without the clasp. So let's see here. And that is enough beads there. So now I can repeat that process of locating that one little bead there. That little bead. And you want to hold nice and firmly so that you don't let things go flying. And just be patient with it. Do not be in a big old hurry. It only takes a second, but as soon as you try to get in a big old hurry and force something through, that's when things go flying, beads go flinging. If it's the kids working, that's when the "Mom, the bead's not working" starts getting yelled. Once you do, you can see though, you can pull it until it's firm. Once it's firm, you're going to want to hold everybody exactly where you want them. And again, get in there with the pliers and crimp it. And once I've crimped it once, I'll just kind of relax just ever so slightly and then crimp it into place. Now what to do? What about this wire? Well, this wire, generally speaking, we want it to go through the beads. Now, had I been thinking, generally, I would do this before I crimped it because it's easier. Once it's crimped, it's much harder to get the end through the bead because you're trying to kind of bend it in an awkward way that it doesn't want to bend. So it's going to take me a minute, but I will get it. I will have to just kind of sit here and play with angles and get it to go back through those beads. Okay, I got it through. I'm going to give you a little close-up look here at our little beaded charm. I just love it. And I love that it attaches to that. And it should be hardy enough to really hang on as long as I've got this. Now, what happens if I no longer want it? If I want something else? Get rid of the planner. I don't know. Whatever the case may be. If I just cut this at any point, if I cut it up here, then only the beads on the loop are going to come off. The beads past the crimp aren't going to go anywhere. If I cut it down here, those beads will come off. But my point is, this charm and these beads, I can reuse them and reuse them and reuse them as much as I want. This can be temporary, and I think that is even better. I hope you've enjoyed this quick little tutorial and look at this project. If you have any questions, feel free to leave me a comment. If you want more details, you can check out the link to my blog. I will see you next time.